Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Well, hello, dummies, and welcome to episode 12. 12! It's a dozen! Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton.
Whoa, not acceptable.
Not a good start. Let's try that again. It's episode 12, and it's probably the last one at this point. Technology's hard. I am Tim, the Minister of Defense Van Stratton. With me is Rodney Newpol, who remains, even after yesterday, the primetime expert.
Yeah.
It was close, man. It was a close one. At one point, you were saying you might have lost your expert status, but overtime has saved you once again.
Yeah, brought it back to dead. And this year and these primetime games are like a reverse of what's went on like the last 10 years in my primetimes. Like, you know, that would be me on the other side for many years. So maybe the tide is turning here, but really, really good National Football League game last night. And we'll talk more about it, but really good Major League Baseball playoff game last night as well. So it's fun to be talking sports this time of year.
October, man. We were talking about it on Tuesday. It really is the best sports month of the year, in my opinion. But we have a lot to get to. We got a lot of football. We have new best bets for betting. We have MLB playoff talk. We have really any sort of topic that you want to bring up as well. If you are watching us live right now, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, thank you. And you could chime in at any time. And the best comments, the snarkiest remarks, we might put them up on the screen. So enjoy that. Also, in case you aren't doing so already, make sure to follow us at Stupid Sports Show on Twitter. There's no W at the end, even though we have W's ourselves because we are winners. We're champions. Especially after yesterday, because the Bucs and Falcons treated us to a cover. We were both on Atlanta, and there was never a doubt that the Falcons were going to cover 2.5. Obviously, they won that game comfortably with ease. There was no stress. There was no dramatics. Just that was it. Real smooth sailing.
Yeah, what a fun game, though. Kirk Cousins over 500 yards. Baker Mayfield actually looked really good, at least in the first half, was kind of calmed a little bit in the second half by the Atlanta defense. I was a little bit higher on Bijan Robinson. Of course, I missed that part of the game, but the Falcons didn't even try to use him much at all. They just continued to throw the football. They found what worked. Kind of a fun story with Drake London missing a play and then bringing Hodge in there, and boom, there he goes, right down the middle of the field. You could tell there was fresh legs against tired legs in that one. The fresh legs just broke away from one guy and said, that's ball game. And that's fun in the NFL. To see kind of a walk-off. You don't see that very often in the National Football League, but when you do, it's fun. And it was a good game and really good for that division, because I know that division for years has kind of been like almost a laughing stock. And I'm not saying that's a great division competitive-wise or like top of the level NFL, but that's a competitive division. And now we've got multiple teams going to be battling for that. I don't even care if it's 9-8 or 10-7. I like that there's three teams there that are competing, and they're all three. Like, who's going to win that division? I mean, we like Atlanta, but like that person likes New Orleans and that person likes Tampa Bay, and that's what's fun, because we're going to go 17 weeks and figure out who's going to try to win this division.
Yeah, there's juice now in the NFC South. Like, both of these teams, you looked at them, and normally, like, there's NFC South games where you watch it, and all it is like, okay, both of these teams really don't like each other, and the product isn't that great, but it's like, oh, it's a rivalry. But no, these are two legitimately decent teams where you could be like, yeah, I could see both of them making the playoffs. Like, there is definitely a scenario where that happens. And even New Orleans, you know, based on how they started the year, have exceeded certainly my expectations in a lot of ways. And depending on how they play on Monday night, that's a tough game at Kansas City, but we'll see how they go there. But yeah, like yesterday was just a ton of fun. I was super, super impressed. I have to say, Kirk Cousins, there was a time, Rodney, where it was, Kirk Cousins in primetime. There's a stigma. And my God, 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, including the walk-off at the end. And it's gotten to the point where Atlanta has played every single game this year that they've had has been close. It's come down to the wire. And whenever Kirk Cousins has the ball, I'm like, he's going to get them in scoring position here. Like, I knew that he was going to get them into field goal range for Koo to be able to tie it, send it to overtime. Like, there wasn't a doubt in my mind. And
Right.
this is the guy who a few years ago was like, oh, can you win with Kirk Cousins? I think you can. You
Yeah.
definitely can.
Yeah, and he has some weapons. He has some weapons. I mean, Drake London's showing how talented he is. I mean, we've all, and we can say what we want about Kyle Pitts. He still is a weapon. And then if they do decide to go the run game, I still consider Bijan as a high end running back. Obviously Hodge came in there. Mooney is actually probably having one of the best years of his career. The Bears are figuring out, oh, maybe we could have used him a little bit more. But yeah, and then I think they're better coached than they've been before. Obviously, so a fun game, and I mean, yeah, Kirk Cousins. It looks like he's loving life in Atlanta now too. He's getting involved with the crowd and
the swag surf.
Yeah, the wave, whatever. Yeah, the
wave. That's what us white people call it. It's the swag surf in the.
It's the swag.
ATL.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
but it does not appear that his injury from last year has slowed him down this year, which is a good thing to see, because you never knew what was going to happen with that injury.
No, but he did that. I was very, very scared after that week 1 performance against Pittsburgh, where they looked bad, where he was a statue in the pocket, but he's definitely gotten more comfortable as the weeks have gone on. And now they're tied for first. Think they're going to be in a really good spot here. I mean, they've had a tough schedule. Like thinking about how they've started the year to go from Pittsburgh, who now looks okay. Yeah, they're pretty good. That defense in particular is incredibly tough to go against. To go from Pittsburgh, to Kansas City, and then you have Philadelphia, and then I can't even remember who it was last week, but now it's Tampa Bay. Like they have a lot of tough opponents right from the jump. 3 primetime games in 5 weeks as well, and they're going to come out of it at 3-2. It tied for first place. It's hard to ask for better than that.
Yeah, now it doesn't get a ton easier for them. Now, obviously, they're at Carolina this coming week. That's easier for them. But it's Seattle, Tampa Bay again, Dallas at the Saints. So, I mean, you look at that, and it's like they have to beat Carolina twice. They do have the Broncos right before Thanksgiving, another game they really need to win. So, yeah, I mean, Atlanta, we liked them from the start to win that division. I still am going to go with Atlanta to win that division. But Tampa Bay on the other side, like Tampa Bay's got players too. My problem was like they couldn't stop anything. Like it was 20 yards in a cloud of dust in the pass game. Like I don't get it. Like they've got to slow down that pass game, keep them shorter or something. My gosh, they couldn't stop anything. 500 yards is almost unheard. I mean, it's unheard of in the NFL. It seems like, especially this year that has really been moved to more of the run game the first 4 weeks.
You know what's weird about Tampa Bay to me? It's like I think Baker Mayfield has proven himself to be like a true starting quarterback. But I feel like with all of the weapons that they have, there's no sort of like, this guy's going to get the ball. Like Mike Evans had 2 touchdowns yesterday, but in a whole game, in a whole shootout with only 30 points, he only ended up with 5 catches.
Yeah.
Like there's not really a whole lot of like, for sure this guy's going to kill you here. Like sometimes it could be Chris Godwin. Sometimes it could be Mike Evans. You don't really know. Yesterday, they're going into the game. They're saying, Bucky Irving, you got to start Bucky Irving in fantasy football. And what did Bucky do? Nine mediocre carries. Like,
yeah, he wasn't great last night on the run. And really up until last night, and even last night wasn't great, but Rashad White hadn't been great at all. Hadn't been real good, actually. But last night, 10 carries, 72 yards. Bucky had 9 carries, 44 yards. So you're right. Like Tampa Bay in fantasy leagues and daily fantasy are super maddening because you may have a week where it's like, God, I didn't play Chris Godwin. I'm not cashing because he had 12 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then you play him, and then it's Mike Evans with 2 touchdowns. And, Godwin wasn't terrible last night, 5 catches, 64 yards. But, like, you're not going to win with that cash line. So you're right. They have lots of weapons. Even Kate Otten steps in and catches 3 or 4 passes. So, very frustrating team. But in the NFL, that's a talented team because, like, there are all sorts of guys that are good weapons. And, it's better than the Giants just throwing them Malik Neighbors over and over.
So unnecessary. Why did you have to take that dig there?
I was trying to think of a team that only threw to one guy, and that's the first one that came to mind.
Well, it's going to have to be a different guy this weekend because I don't think Malik Neighbors is playing. They killed him on Thursday night. So
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge at Seattle.
yeah. All right, let's talk some more NFL games, and then we'll discuss some of the top college games as well. It's not really an amazing college football slate. It's kind of the calm before the storm because later this month you're going to have just a crazy stretch of games. But as far as the NFL, there actually are a few standouts this weekend. We can just run down the list real quick here, Rodney, and kind of highlight some of the ones that I think we're really excited about. It is the rare London game where we're looking and we're like, wow, both opponents don't want to make me vomit, which normally happens for these London games. We send our filth overseas for the NFL, but Jets Vikings. I know the Jets are coming off of one of those classic Jets losses here, but Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings, Sam Darnold, revenge game against his former team. The Vikings are 4-0. They're only a 2.5 point favorite here against the Jets. And I don't want to spoil it because we might or might not be talking about this game in best bets for betting here, but Jets Vikings is actually a pretty good game. Good way to start off our Sunday.
Yeah, pretty good game for us at 8:30 in the morning. A quadruple hitter on Sunday. Four series of games. You got the 8:30, you got the noon, you got the 3:15, and you got the 7:20. So, I mean, you're looking at what, 14 hours of football. I mean, it's going to be a day.
Yeah,
Sunday's going to be a day. But yeah, that international game is a really good one. And then I can move to our local Chicago team playing Carolina. Not a great game, but that's another game that we might be seeing in the best bets for betting in a little bit as well. But the big one I know you want to talk about at noon, Buffalo at Houston.
There's two noon games that I think are absolutely must watch. It's Bills Texans. Just another revenge game. It's the Stephon Diggs revenge game, and Ravens Bengals.
Yeah,
those are two really good games in that noon slate there. Yeah, that Bills Texans game. It's would be interesting to see what they would put the spread at because Buffalo's a 1 point favorite going to Houston. In that, if Buffalo was undefeated, if they found a way to win on Sunday night, that spread I think would have been probably up to like 2 or 3 at this point. But yeah, that's a fun one. That's a fun one, especially because Houston, despite being in first place right now in the AFC South, looking like the clear runaway favorite there, doesn't look quite dominant. But also, like, it would not surprise me if they win this game by a pretty decent margin here.
Yeah, and I'm not on this one for best bets for betting, so I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I see kind of a bounce back in Buffalo. Like I'm not going to go overboard and brag. I did call last week, obviously, but now I see like, okay, they got their loss out of the way. This is still who I consider one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. Josh Allen is going to be able to figure out the Houston defense. But, man, Buffalo with 3 straight road games, this will be their second of 3. They got the Jets on Monday night next week at the Jets. So you got Ravens, you got Texans, you got Jets. I do like Buffalo. I do like Buffalo to win this game, though. Not going to bet it in my 4 later, but I do like Buffalo at that spread, money line, whatever you want to do there. I think Buffalo wins on the road.
Do you know that Houston has yet to cover this season in four games? There are 2 teams. This is a good question for you, Rodney, and I just gave you one of them. There are 2 NFL teams that are winless against the spread through 4 weeks. One of them is the Houston Texans.
Well, the other one might be Jacksonville.
It's not Jacksonville.
No,
it is the Miami Dolphins, who are 0-4 against the spread.
Yeah, who are in one of the worst games of the week at New England on Sunday. Just ignore that game. Just literally ignore that game. I can't see any value in betting it fantasy wise. I just ignore that game. Just don't even exist. Don't even just pretend it doesn't happen. I mean, what good is coming out of Miami at the Patriots? What good is coming out of that?
Know what I wish? I wish that we could flex games out of London and send another game there. This is what I was saying, where we normally send just 2 bad teams to play in the London game. Let's send Dolphins Patriots there.
Yeah.
To Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then let's get Jets Vikings back and we can have that game in Minnesota because I believe it technically counts as a Minnesota home game.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So yeah, put that game in Minneapolis instead, and we'll send Dolphins Patriots to England. How does that sound?
Actually, I got a better idea. So if you're going to do London at 8:30, why don't you just do a game at 5:30 in the morning? You could have Dolphins. So look, so if you really are jonesing for some NFL, you could do 5:30 in the morning, Dolphins Patriots. It's only 6:30 in Miami. I'm sure everybody in Miami's up on a Sunday morning at 6:30. What else is there to do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, it definitely. If there's one thing I know about Miami, it's that people go to sleep at a very reasonable time on a Saturday night. They don't stay out there. They're in bed, lights out, 8:00, so they can get a fresh start to their day Sunday morning. I think the bars in Miami and all the clubs typically close at like 7 p.m. anyway. So it's like, where would they even go on Saturday night? There's nothing to do except go to sleep. So yeah, just wake up and then play the game.
I mean, yeah.
So by the way, the game's in New England. So
yeah. I did say that as we were talking. I messed, but okay. So you still got one fan base. You got one fan base that's going to get up early in Miami. I mean, the guys in New England, like, that's probably when they're starting their clam chowder and all that. So you're just ready to get going. I mean, 5:30 tomorrow. Okay, so if we don't like that game at 5:30, we could do something like you could do Colts Jaguars instead at 5:30 in the morning.
I can do that.
Jacksonville is probably a city that wants to get up early, get going, get the day going. So Colts Jaguars 5:30 in the morning, and then you could go to the London game and then the noon games. I'm fixing the NFL for you here, Raj.
So I love, and I know you love, the early morning sports. Like the early morning, like golf tournaments that start super early in the morning. Love it. Like I'll watch like Premier League, like F1 races, like all of the things that are typically like overseas that start real early. Like I love it. Just a good way to start the day. I would love if the NFL had something similar to that, even if they were games here and they just like, instead of piling 8 games into a noon slate, you have like, 2 games at 6 a.m. and then you have 3 at 8:30 or 9, and then you kind of like you break it up that way. So that way there's fewer games on at the same time, but like they start a lot earlier in the day. I understand, for red zone purposes, for Sunday ticket purposes, why they don't do that. But just like as a fan, I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah, I mean, like I love it. There's literally 46 sports in action right now. Can live bet on 46 things going on right now, including the Governor's Cup in basketball in the Philippines going on right now. 94-84, that's a battle going on. But yeah, like 8:30 in the morning, I love seeing stuff go on. If I can find it on some kind of like illegal stream, I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna bet on it. There's some soccer going on, there's tennis, there's golf, there's table tennis, there's cricket. Come on, Raj, we can get the NFL going, and then you're going to steal all the thunder of that. And you mentioned Red Zone and NFL Ticket, all that. How about, the fans? Yeah, they may not be able to get there at 8:30 either. It could be a problem. But anyways, if they put them there, they're going to get there. If they put the games at 8:30 in the morning, they're going to put people there. About guarantee it.
On that note, so Ravens Bengals, any thoughts there?
At some point, we're going to quit getting excited about the Bengals. Or are we?
That is not happening yet, though.
No, it's not happening because they are still a team that should be able to score a bunch of points. It's just under 50 is that total.
It's got to be the highest total for the week.
Yeah. I think of this game a little bit like the opposite of what I said, Buffalo, Houston. Like, I'm not so sure Baltimore comes in with all of the steam they need to come in, or if they are like, we're pretty good. We beat Buffalo last week. I don't know how hard we're going to try. I get it. It's a divisional game. But I could see Cincinnati. I mean, because, like, this is back against the wall for Cincinnati. Like, if you want to contend in that division, because, like, Pittsburgh might lose this week to Dallas. And if they do and Cincinnati wins, now you're only a game back. You're literally tied with the Ravens for second. We're just ignoring Cleveland's existence because they're bad. It's Deshaun Watson. So like Cincinnati's got a real good chance here, especially at home. I like the Bengals plus 2.5. I like them to win this game. It's not my bets for betting, so I'm not giving that one away yet. I don't know if it's on your ticket or not, but I like Cincinnati maybe to win this one at home.
Yeah, this game it does scare me a little bit in terms of betting because like if I had to choose right now, I think I like the Bengals to win, but I have no idea how it's going to play out. And also like the Bengals are like their two worst performances this year were both at home.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't so it's like, well, at least it's home, but it's like that hasn't really helped them too much. But you kind of just think, okay, maybe the Ravens are coming off of that sort of like, wow, like they're on top of the world right now, that Sunday night game, and then this is just sort of their crash down. Like that's maybe what you hope for if you're a Bengals fan. But yeah, this is a tough game to get a read on though, for sure. But I always love when the AFC North teams play. And this is one of those rare ones too where it's like it's high scoring. I'm so used to those AFC North games from the past where it was Steelers Ravens, a 9-6 final.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could see plenty of offense in this game. Like you said, the highest point total, almost 50 points. I mean, Jamar Chase is in that. Anytime you get Jamar Chase, you get Lamar Jackson, you get a red hot Derrick Henry. That's pretty good. That's pretty good football right there.
All right. So for the rest of the NFL Week 5 slate, we got 4 games in the 3 o'clock. I mean, they're all kind of bad. The only one is, I guess, Packers Rams. Even though the Rams, 1-3, don't have Kupp, don't have Nakua. Yeah. So it's just like prime time. I think I would care more about there. So Cowboys Steelers and then Saints Chiefs on Monday. Cowboys Steelers. You and I were talking a little bit before. You are the primetime expert, and you have no idea how to approach that game. I'm kind of with you.
Yeah, I mean, my first instinct is Dallas wins this game on the road. Why is that's where my issue comes in. Is I'm not really sure why. I'm not really sure what Dallas has shown me to tell me that they're going to win this one on the road. But Pittsburgh on the other side, like I know they won their first 3 games, but what really have they shown me that they are ready to win this game? So yes, I am. I'm pretty mixed here. I don't love it. I'm hoping to get a better read before Sunday night. Back against the wall, I'm taking Dallas in the money line. And maybe I'm buying into like better Dallas teams in the past, but I'm going to take Dallas in that money line at what plus 120 or whatever they are. If I'm betting right now, we got 48 hours or so to figure this one out, but yeah, don't love it either side there.
The only way the Steelers win that game is if they just absolutely make life miserable for Dak Prescott and just like it has to be just a low scoring, bloody, nasty mess. Like the way Mike Tomlin loves it, that's the only way, because they're not going to be able to hang offensively. At least I don't think.
You wouldn't think Justin Fields would be able to move it as much as quickly as Prescott and his offense does. So yeah, you're looking at like the spread's 2.5 and it's 43.5. So, Vegas is telling us 21-19-ish, 21-18, 21-17, 20-17. I would say anything over like 21 and Dallas wins this game, right? 3 touchdowns or more and Dallas wins this game.
I would think so.
Pittsburgh's not getting there against Dallas, I don't think, even though Dallas hasn't been very good defensively. But you look at Pittsburgh, they scored 18 points, 13 points, 20 points. And then the game they did score 24, they lost. So they're not probably going to score much over about 3 touchdowns in this game.
No, I would agree there. Saints Chiefs, I fear this is where well, here's the thing, like my instinct is Chiefs roll. However, it's not like Kansas City has looked totally dominant this year. No. Rashee Rice is now hurt. Like, and the NFL, we've seen sort of the big underdogs, making pressure. Like Derek Carr is super familiar with Kansas City and how they operate here.
Yeah.
I mean, probably my instinct is saying to take Kansas City, then the right answer is probably New Orleans to cover. No?
Yeah.
5.5 is a pretty big number. And like I could see Alvin Kamara running wild again. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL this year again.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have won by 7-1, 5-7 in their 4 games. So you're right, they're not blowing anybody out, but 2 of those have been over that 5.5. And you kind of pointed out to me they've covered 3 of their 4 games. Like we think of Kansas City as, like maybe struggling at 4-0. They certainly haven't struggled. They're 4-0. They're playing really good defense, and they've given up 17 and 10 in their last 2 games, and that's Kirk Cousins, one of those games. Last week against the Chargers, we're not looking at the Chargers as a strong offense. Kansas City, they want to get to that bye week. They have a bye week after this. Hopefully, they're not looking ahead at their trips to Aruba for, maybe they're going to go walk on a beach and place bets or something. I don't know. But, they got a bye week coming up and then the 49ers after that. So you kind of hope Kansas City maybe can focus. If they focus in this game, I do think they win the game. New Orleans peaked, obviously, first couple weeks. I'm not so sure how good New Orleans is. And let's keep in mind, we weren't real sure how good New Orleans was going to be at the start of the year. Maybe that 2-0 peak was kind of their high water mark because they haven't looked great the last 2 weeks. Eagles beat them. Falcons beat them. I like the Chiefs here. I don't love the 5.5, but I would take the Chiefs if I had to.
All right, switching gears to college football here. I mentioned that this weekend isn't exactly loaded with great games. As far as like the best ones to expect this weekend, I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of interest in Missouri against Texas A&M. That's 2 top 25 teams. A lot of people really, really like Missouri this year, but they're actually a 2.5-point underdog toward a College Station. So that should be one of the better ones pretty early on. There was a time, Rodney, where I think people were like, "Wow, Clemson, Florida State, that's going to be a great game." Not really so much anymore. Michigan, Washington, that is a national championship rematch.
It is.
Like it's now conference rivals.
Yeah, and both teams. Well, I can't say Michigan struggled because they really haven't. They're 4-1. Their only loss was to Texas. Texas is really good, but Michigan hasn't looked dominant, hasn't looked amazing. And Washington at 3-2, like coming off a loss at Rutgers, like you better figure out how to win a game here, Washington, or you're going to be in danger of not even getting to that magic number of 6. But I wanted to point out there are 2 games tonight, which for those of you that are degenerates on football and sports in general, and they're not terrible games. Syracuse is at UNLV. Obviously, we know the story on UNLV. But they are 4-0 and actually pretty talented still, despite losing a couple of their players. And then there is a Big Ten game tonight. Michigan State's at Oregon. Michigan State's no good, but Oregon's one of those teams where it's like, okay, this is one that we talked about being a national championship contender. They're number 6 in the country. I think you want to start seeing some better offense out of Oregon, maybe a little more blowout potential in some of these teams that aren't as good, because Oregon's got Ohio State next week. And that's a really good game. You don't want to look past Michigan State, but Oregon should roll tonight. But two pretty good games tonight. A lot of times you get garbage on Friday night. Neither one of these games are garbage. Syracuse at UNLV, Michigan State at Oregon, both 8 o'clock Central Time.
And with no playoff baseball tonight, I think that there will definitely be a lot of interest in those college football games.
Yeah, and then I can move back to tomorrow. Our buddies over at UCLA, yikes. They're at Penn State. That's not going to go well.
That's what, 4 touchdown?
28. 28 with a total of 46.5. A total of 46.5. So you're looking at like 35-7, 38-10. Yuck. That's pretty gross.
Remind me, was UCLA gas or ass in our preseason?
Did you know that game day is actually going to be in Berkeley?
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
Okay. That was the other game I was going to mention. So it's like the last game is 9:30 start time Central, but Miami at Cal is quietly a very decent game.
Yeah, an ACC showdown. In fact,
of course.
Yeah, Berkeley. I don't know if I've ever seen game day. I'm not like a game day obsession person. I do watch it if I'm home because it gets me ready for Saturday's games. There's some cool stories. Seeing the signs in the background, whatever. But at Berkeley, I'm pretty sure I've never seen a game at Berkeley before. So now you've got Miami, who's coming in their top 10 team, ACC showdown, and California is actually not bad at 3-1. They did lose somehow to Florida State. I'm still not sure how that happened in a 14-9 slugfest. But it'll be interesting to see if Miami can go on the road. And, we keep thinking about Miami and are they going to stub their toe? because like that's what Miami has done over the last decade. This could be one of those opportunities. Hurricanes need this win on the road to kind of stay in the national title contention. But look at like, Miami doesn't play anybody really all that good. Louisville's just okay. Florida State's horrendous. Duke's not very good. Georgia Tech's not very good. Wake Forest not very good. At Syracuse, like Miami, if you can win on the road here, you set yourself up to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, their toughest opponents this year were supposed to be Florida week 1. We know that was kind of a bust. And then probably Louisville and Florida State. Like going into the year, they thought, okay, these are going to be their toughest opponents.
Yeah, Virginia Tech was in there at the end of September, but we haven't seen Virginia Tech be the Virginia Tech of old here for the last several years. So, but somebody's got to win the ACC, and maybe somebody will be undefeated, and that is going to be Miami if there's anybody that comes out undefeated. So ACC is probably hoping the Hurricanes win this game in Berkeley.
Yeah, I'm looking at like Cal. So the point spread, or not the point spread, like the total for that game is 53.5. Like it's a pretty high total here. I'm looking at Cal. Like they put up 9 points last week.
Yeah, they can't.
They put up 21 against Auburn. They've scored 31 twice, but that came against UC Davis in their first round, and then San Diego State. Like it's not like a super high scoring team either. But like Miami could score, Cam Ward looks like he's going to be one of the higher drafted quarterbacks in the NFL draft coming up in a few months. So I don't know. I could see Miami kind of bouncing back. Their wake up call might have been the Virginia Tech game.
Yeah,
and this is where they sort of roll before they have to get serious and focus on Louisville, because that's a game. Is Louisville on the road next week?
Louisville
I think so.
Is they host Louisville, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
They're
at Louisville.
Okay.
No, they're at Louisville.
Oh, they're at Louisville. That's what I'm saying. So like that's the game that I think Miami sees, and that's where it hangs. So maybe it's not this one yet. Maybe it's next week. But
yeah, and you mentioned Cam Ward. You mentioned Cam Ward. Cam Ward's had 3 passing touchdowns or more in each of his 5 games. I mean, I know a lot of love for Travis Hunter to win the Heisman, and rightfully so. He is steaming the right way, but Cam Ward's right there. I mean, Cam Ward with 17 touchdown passes or whatever it is at this point, pretty freaking good, with just 4 interceptions. So yeah, I mean, but this is a test. Like, can he go on the road, throw 3+ touchdowns in a long? I mean, that's a 10:30 game. PM. Okay, kids in Miami don't care what time they play football. I get it, but like that's still a 10:30 game for them. That's 3 hours to cross time zone different. That's still a challenge for a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds. No matter what we think they're doing late at night, that's still a challenge.
I don't want to keep throwing digs at Miami, but I don't think the kids there really care about football at any time.
Yeah, they'll play at any time, right? They are. We are killing the fine folks there in Miami today with generalizations on their city and their university.
By the way, we're talking about Heisman's. What are the odds right now for that running back from Boise State to win the Heisman this year?
Yeah, he's a good one too. And actually, I'm going to talk Boise State in my best bets for betting.
All right, we'll save it there. All right, real quick before we get to best bets for betting, the Major League Baseball playoffs. I'll say it. They have officially started after the wild card series. Now they've begun. Although the game 3 between the Mets and the Brewers was quite good up until, it was pretty slow, until the last couple innings or so, and then the Miracle Mets happened. I like, what I like, Rodney, real quick on the Mets. I like that the Mets have this battle going on where there's 2 sides that are wagering war against each other, right? It's the team of destiny, it's the grimace. It's all of the stuff that has led the Mets on this improbable run from like this team is a disaster to now like, oh my God, we're going to win it all. And then the other side is, oh, we're the Mets. Like we're just historically inept. Like we're not supposed to have nice things. So it's like both of these sides are fighting each other. And like you go into every single Mets game and it's like, which one is going to come out ahead? Like you're either going to see like the team of destiny that it's what it's felt like for months now, or it's going to be like, oh, that's right, it's the Mets. I don't know how it's going to end.
A fun story and a pretty talented team. I mean, a pretty talented offense there. I mean, the playoffs have been good, but you're right. They start tonight. And or tomorrow, I guess. You got kind of three regional rivalries that I kind of like here with the Mets, Phillies. Obviously, that's been a long time rivalry. New York, Philadelphia, anytime those two get together. You've got, and even Detroit, Cleveland is a regional rivalry, and those guys have played each other a dozen times this year. And then, of course, the big series that everybody's excited about is the Dodgers, Padres. And so then the Yankees, Royals just kind of get pushed aside, and everybody outside of the Kansas City area is like, okay, Yankees are going to win. Yankees are going to win. But be careful. I mean, Bobby Witt's obviously very good. And Salvador Perez, he knows how to win in the postseason a little bit too. So don't guarantee the Yankees win. But yes, I think all four series have some big-time intrigue.
It's funny. I was talking to my dad. He's a big Yankee fan, and he called a couple nights ago and was just like, tell me about the Royals. Because, like, why would he know anything about the Royals, right?
Right.
And he's like, so how do you think they line up? And I was kind of going through it with them, and I'm like, lineup wise, obviously you have to give it to the Yankees. Like the Royals aren't gonna combat Judge and Soto and like all these guys. But I was like, but the Royals probably have the better 1, 2, 3 pitching staff just based on the numbers. Like even Garrett Cole hasn't been the Garrett Cole of the last couple of years.
Right.
So the Royals have the pitching advantage. And I would say the Royals definitely have a bullpen advantage too. Like the Yankees back end of the bullpen, there's definitely been question marks. Like I don't think anyone is like, oh, Clay Holmes is this dominant lights out closer for them. So it's like, okay, well the Royals have a couple pretty big advantages here against a Yankees team. And I saw yesterday, like the batter versus pitcher numbers with all of the Yankee hitters against some of the Royals pitchers. Like here it is. So Rodney, so career stats versus Lugo, Reagans, and Waka, the top 3 pitchers for the Royals, right? Aaron Judge in his career against those 3 pitchers is 1 for 28.
Ooh.
Jazz Chisholm is 1 for 18. Giancarlo Stanton is 7 for 34. Anthony Volpe is 0 for 11. Gleyber Torres is 4 for 29.
Yikes.
The only guy that's faced them a decent amount of times that has success is Juan Soto, 8 for 26 with a pair of home runs. But that's a lot of guys that have struggled. And Judge 1 for 28 career against those 3 pitchers, the top 3 pitchers. And Aaron Judge, this could change because Aaron Judge is a much more evolved hitter now than he was a few years ago. But Aaron Judge, normally his postseason numbers are not very good. So this is a huge opportunity for the Yankees here, but it's not going to be easy. And I agree with you. A lot of people are just assuming that the Yankees are going to win here, but that's dumb to just assume that because the Royals could just pitch their way out of it. And Bobby Witt Jr. I could see having an amazing series, and the Royals win these games 3-1, and that's that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a low-scoring game, obviously that is a huge advantage for Kansas City because you can't think the Royals are going to win slugfest. I mean, your odds are very, very low of winning a slugfest against the Yankees. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be fun. You're right. The playoffs do start now. There was some intrigue, with that one series, but other than that, the wild card round, I guess, is what you want to call it. Is that what it's called now, or is it called something different? I don't know.
The wild card series that then goes into the divisional series. So
yeah, which then the championships. So yeah, I mean, fairly boring. But once tomorrow gets here and those 4 playoff series start, I think we're going to see some really good baseball and a lot of good players. Playing, and that Dodgers Padres series is going to be fun.
Every team probably has a must see player. I would say the only one is probably the Tigers that unless Scooble's on the mound.
Yeah.
If Scooble's on the mound, that's their guy, but there's not really anyone aside from him on the Tigers where it's like, oh my God, it's must see. But the team itself is a must see story. And it would not surprise me if the Tigers, BS their way to a World Series just because that's how baseball works. I have another Tiger stat for you in the meantime that I could pull up here that you'll like.
Andy Ibanez is not a must see player.
Can I say so? I was watching that game. I hate how Minute Maid Park is constructed.
Yeah, you can't figure out.
Okay, so right, so Ibanez comes in, hits a rope down the line. We have no idea. The broadcasters have no idea whether it's fair or foul because the way that the walls are built, you just can't see. So the ball just disappears, and you have no idea where it landed. Right. It feels like every single fly ball hit to right field is a home run. Like
Home
it
run.
feels like they put that wall 250 feet from home plate. And also, this is a stadium that for most of its existence had a hill on the field with a flagpole. Like, what are we doing? Like, who thought that this ballpark was like suitable for Major League Baseball? The whole thing is garbage. Like
in train tracks.
That ball, train tracks. God,
Albert Pujols' ball's still on top of it.
All right, here's the stat, Rodney. You'll like this one especially. The Tigers are the 4th team in MLB history to win a playoff series after being at least 10 games back of a playoff spot with at least 110 games into the season. Okay? The previous 3 teams were your 2011 St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes, sir.
They were 10 back on like September 10th. And like,
yeah, that's crazy.
1969 Mets and the 1964 Cardinals.
Okay.
Do you know what all 3 of those teams have in common?
They won the World Series.
All 3 went on to win the World Series.
Yeah.
I've seen some people, by the way, they like, of course, we're not the money bags to do this, but there were guys who back in early August put $1,000 on the Tigers to win the World Series. And, obviously the odds they would get them at 1,000, they would pay out like $600,000, something ridiculous. Right. But there are cash out options for 40,000, 50,000 right now. If you held one of those tickets and you had the Tigers right now, and let's say DraftKings was giving you the option to cash out at 40,000 for a ticket that would pay out about 600,000 if it hits, and you only put 1,000 on it to start, would you do it? Would you cash out? Would you let it ride?
Yeah, I think I'm cashing out at 40 or 50,000. I just am. I mean, there's too many things that are going to go going against Detroit still. I know when I placed this bet, it was kind of a long shot, but now I feel like I've reached my peak of what I'm going to make here. Like, because if they fall down 1-2-0 in the series, that number is going to go way down. You got to do it now. And I actually, you're right. I saw one guy had 2 tickets of the same thing for the Tigers. And so in that case, like, you definitely have to cash out one of them. You cash out one of them and you let the other ride. I hear he's letting them both ride.
You know what probably makes sense? I'm with you. I would cash out because I'm a coward.
Yeah.
But what about you? So you cash out and then you put like 1,000 of that on the new odds and then you let that ride. So at least you have like substantial profit, and then you can, put out, because I don't know what the odds are for them to win the World Series. Like, I'm sure they're still out of the 8 remaining teams, probably still at the bottom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would guess them and the Mets are probably at the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly those are the 2 teams, the 2 underdogs left in Major League Baseball. I'll pull that up via DraftKings real quick to kind of give us an idea here. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. So World Series winner. So I just pulled up FanDuel, not to go against you.
1.
I'd see 14 plus 1,400. So 14 to 1.
DraftKings got the Tigers and the Mets at plus 950. So Dodgers are favorites at plus 350. Yankees are plus 370. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You could take 1,000, or you could take a bunch of it out, put 1,000. You're still looking at coming back with almost 10,000 if they do end up winning.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just too many things for the Tigers. Good that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna take my money now, and if they do, great story. I'll probably be obviously disappointed I didn't win the 6 figures, but I'll take that 40. I'll take that 40K.
Yeah. 40, and then if you decide to put 1,000 of it there, and then you add another 10, 15,000 after the fact, like
right,
you're still you're ended up with over $50,000 on $1,000 of investment. Like,
right,
it makes sense, but it's not 600,000, and that's the thing that you might have to live with and stomach. But yeah, and even after I read that set, it's like, oh man, like this Tigers team, like. And all of those other teams I mentioned, like there were star players on them. Like that 2011 Cardinals team had Albert Pujols. Like it was like this Tigers team has Andy Ibanez.
Yeah, and Spencer Torkelson,
who's I still don't think is good.
No, and Javi Baez just sits on the bench.
Oh, he's hurt, right? Because that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
This whole run for the Tigers started the second that Baez got hurt. Like, he was so bad that him just merely not being in their lineup has made them great.
Yeah, he has a hip injury. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, he hit 184 and 289. He only had 289 plate appearances.
No, he's unplayable. He's unplayable.
Home runs on the year.
Yeah.
I wonder what his agent thinks about that.
Should we do best bets for betting?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. A reminder that best bets for betting are 4 picks that Rodney and I make each and every Friday. These are picks that you can tail. For me, probably a good idea to start fading. The reason for that is Rodney, after a dominant performance in last week's edition, is 10-8-1 on the year. He has surged back. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at 5-14. I've won 3 in the last 4 weeks. Do with that what you will. I could be due, or it could be just it somehow gets worse. We'll find out soon. All right, Rodney, would you like to lead us off with your first best bet for betting?
Yes. Georgia Bulldogs -22 against Auburn. Georgia lost last week. Obviously, they're going to be ticked off. Kirby Smart's going to have them ready to go. Auburn's not real good. They've actually already lost 3 games this year. They struggle to score. Georgia's not going to quit scoring on them. You know, a conference game, 22-point spread is a lot for an SEC game. But I like Georgia to score in the 40s here. Auburn can't keep up. I'll take like 45-17, somewhere around there. I like Georgia -22 here as my first best bet for betting.
All right. My first best bet for betting, I'm going to one of the college football games on Friday night. Oregon, a 23.5-point favorite versus Michigan State. Michigan State, simply put, not only are they not very good, but I just don't think their offense can hang with Oregon. In Eugene, it's a short week for them. Dan Lanning, by the way, in his career is 6-1 against the spread when his team is favored by 20 or more points. So I think that this is a game that he can absolutely, get Oregon ready for, that they can handle their business. It shouldn't be close. And even if they don't cover, it's still not going to be very close. It's going to be a 3-touchdown game regardless, but I'll take the Ducks here at home before they have their huge game against Ohio State coming up soon after.
My second game is going to be in college, and it's right there. Boise State -27. That's a lot of points against Utah State. Utah State is 1-3. They've lost their last 3 games. They lost to USC by 48. They lost to Utah by 17, and they lost to Temple by 16. Temple's one of the worst teams in all of college football, like one of the worst teams in all of college football, which puts the Aggies of Utah State right there with them. I actually think Boise State is one of those teams that still could be one of those non-Power 5 teams that makes the college football playoff. UNLV's in that talk as well. You mentioned earlier this Ashton Jeanty guy. He is 4th in the Heisman odds right now. Has been fantastic. He has been fantastic on the season for them. He has lots of touchdowns. I can't even remember how many. He had 6 last week, so he's got 13 rushing touchdowns on the season. He doesn't catch a lot of passes, so you're not looking at a receiving touchdown, but he's going to run wild on them. I can see another 3, 4, 5 touchdown game from him. I like the Broncos by 4 touchdowns or more here. I'll take Boise State.
I saw something earlier where it was his odds to score, like his anytime touchdown odds, and it was just something ridiculous here. Yeah, he's all right. Get this on FanDuel. Ashton Jeanty is -2,100 to score a touchdown.
Guarantee he's going to score. Yeah, you can't even. Why do you bet that? I just.
But he's +145 to score the first touchdown.
Yeah. That's probably a good bet.
Right. So okay, explain this to me, Rodney. Like you are the betting guru here. How is it that someone who's -2,100 to score a touchdown is still at plus money to score the game's first touchdown when everyone and their mother knows that he's going to score at some point or another?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the variance, but it still seems like the variance.
But NFL. I mean, there is not a single NFL game where there is someone who the favorite to score the game's first touchdown is I don't know.
Yeah, so Genty is 8-1 to win the Heisman. It's Milroe, Hunter, Ward, and then Genty in that order, with Nico coming in 5th.
Crazy. All right, my second best bet for betting. This one is special to me.
Let's
And
got a
as you
lock
can
on
see,
it.
if you're watching live, you will see that there is a lock. Now, this might be a bad idea from someone who's coming in with the opposite of momentum in best bets for betting. But if there's one takeaway, it's this. I can guarantee that the Chicago Bears will cover the 4-point spread hosting the Carolina Panthers. Rodney, the sports books done went and screwed up, because there is no universe where Caleb Williams and the Bears at home hosting the Carolina Panthers, who gifted them Caleb Williams, are going to do anything aside from win this game comfortably. And if the Bears do not cover 4 points, then they should be sent to Canada to play in the Canadian Football League indefinitely.
I thought you were going to say something about a 5-layer beefy burrito if they didn't cover or something.
No, because I know better. I know better.
That's a good idea.
I know better. I would put the blame on the Bears, not on myself, because it is the Bears' responsibility. But I promise you, this is a lock. This is the lock. And if I go 1-3 and this is my only win, it is a success for the weekend. This is the lock. Put it down.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you have a lock on this one, because like this is our first ever best bets for betting lock. I'm fairly sure.
It is.
I'm fairly sure. So my best bets for betting, my number 3 is shit.
What?
Oh fuck. We're no, this ain't gonna work. We can't both bet the same game and it to win. I'm sorry, Tim. Bears -4.
I think you did it on purpose. I think you did. I think you saw that juicy lock there, and you're like, I have to make sure that I cancel that out. So you're just doing it. There's no game that we've ever had the same best bet on. You know this, right?
Hey man, I have it written down on what I wanted. Bears -4, man. I like DJ Moore revenge game. DJ Moore is going to score a touchdown, and you talked about Ashton Genty anytime touchdown. DJ Moore is my guy for anytime touchdown. He will score at home against the Bears. And then when they score 40 points, Bears fans are going to buy my Vikings, Seahawks, and Lions tickets all before the end of the night on Sunday. Bears fans are going to flood the ticket market Sunday. Bears -4 is my third best bet.
Do you know what's insane? This game, I'm looking at the DraftKings, like the betting splits right now. Currently, the Bears are only getting 51% of the spread bets in this game.
It's
wild. Like, what are we doing? Like, have we all fallen in love with Andy Dalton after 2 weeks? And we're saying, oh, well, the Panthers are going to go into Chicago. Like, come on, people. Come on.
It is pretty wild, because 2 weeks ago, we were like, oh, my God, his team is historically awful. And then now all of a sudden, Andy Dalton's like revived them from the dead. But
we were talking about them going 0-17. Like,
yeah. Bad.
And yet half of you are going to say that they're going to go to Chicago against Caleb Williams and cover. Like, come on. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's ludicrous. It's a lock. I don't even want to do my next two because I'm so strong about this one, but I will. My third best bet. This one, we're back to our disagreement here. You said you're liking the Bills. I'm going to take the Texans, knowing full well that Houston has yet to cover any spread this year. They're a 1-point underdog. I'm just hoping that this is going to be one of those like classic shootout games that CJ Stroud just gets the ball last. This one, I definitely wouldn't put a lock on it because, with a 1-point spread, it's kind of hard to really say for sure, oh, that so-and-so is going to happen. But I'm just hoping that this is one of those classic examples of everyone is on Rodney's side here. About 75% of all of the handle is going on Buffalo to cover this game here. So I'm hoping that this sort of follows the trend that we've seen through the first few weeks of the NFL season, where the lopsided favorite, not necessarily by spread, but just by terms of the bets going against them, ends up blowing up in everyone's face. So I will hope that the Houston Texans find a way to win this game and give Buffalo its second straight loss.
My last one, and I know all you faithful, loyal, longtime listeners are going to be very taken back by this pick because if you've listened to me the last 6 weeks, you've heard all about the Minnesota Vikings. I have loved the Minnesota Vikings from the start. Kevin O'Connell, probably who is my coach of the year right now in the National Football League. Sam Darnold and him have put together what a great combination. I've absolutely been totally against the New York Jets, but my best bet for betting number 4 is the New York Jets. Stop it. You're distracting me over there. You like got electrocuted or something. New York Jets plus 120 on the money line in London. Woody and his boys, because the owner of the Jets is going to have all of his fancy dancy people over there in London. He is not going to want to see his Jets disappoint in front of all of his London friends. Aaron Rodgers knows that. Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh probably aren't speaking, but Rodgers just says, you know what? I'm going to take this. I've got this. I'm going to take over. And this might be the last game that Aaron Rodgers goes without Devontae Adams on his team, because I could see Devontae coming over to the Jets. But anyways, Jets money line, Jets, Jets.
This is another example, Rodney, and I don't know if you were factoring this into your mix at all, but right now the Jets are only getting about 20 to 25% of all of the bets and the handle right now. Everyone is on the 4-0 Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
everyone.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me because
Right.
there are very, 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 very smart bettors, and those guys kind of just go under the radar, make their wins, whatever. But there are a lot of just like public bettors where it's like 4-0, 2-2, came off a bad loss, don't lose. The Vikings are going to lose at some point. They're going to lose at some point. And to me, this is it. To me, this is it. Jets plus 120 on the money line. Once again, Jets. Jets.
I have used a best bets for betting on a Jets money line before.
Yep.
Did not go well, but I hope it goes better for you. My final best bet for betting. This one breaks my heart. And this, I believe, is the second largest spread behind I think San Francisco's spread against who is it? Arizona is a little bit bigger. So the Seahawks are a 6.5 point favorite hosting the New York Giants. If there was a healthy Malik Neighbors and a healthy Devin Singletary, I would say, you know what? I think the Giants can actually keep this close. They haven't been as much of a gutless loser as they were at many points last year. That said, with no Neighbors, with probably no Singletary, on the road at Seattle, who even Seattle's loss last week, it was like, oh, they were hanging tough against Detroit. The Giants just don't have the offensive firepower and the ability to be able to hang with Seattle here and to keep that game close. I think Seattle wins this game by a touchdown plus. Everyone seems to be on the same page here. About 70-ish% of all spread bets going on Seattle right now, but I don't see without Neighbors, who's clearly the number one weapon. Like, it's going to be Wan'Dale Robinson who gets 15 catches for 38 yards. Yeah. Like that's the Giants' big offensive weapon right now with no Malik Neighbors out there. So yeah, I think Seattle wins this game by a touchdown plus. And plus, like, going to Seattle anyway, like in general is always tough. It's always a tough place for teams, especially like from the East Coast. You got to go make the West Coast trip. So I don't love it for the Giants in that regard as well, but I think Seattle wins this game by 7 or more. Breaks my heart, but yeah.
I would agree with you on that one. It's not part of my 4, but I would agree with you.
All right, Rodney. Best Barry Bonds stat. I have one for you.
Let's do it.
All right. So, let me pull it up here. Make sure. All right. So, are you familiar with the Hall of Famer Craig Biggio?
I am. Pretty good player.
Yeah, very good. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame. You know, very, very good player. Played in the same era as Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Craig Biggio, in his 20-year career, drove in 1,175 runs.
Okay.
No, I mean, he wasn't really a power guy, but you know, he had a little bit of pop. He could bring in some runs, right? 1,175 runs in his 20-year career for Hall of Famer Craig Biggio. Barry Bonds, in his career, drove in 1,174 runs just from his home runs.
That's it. Just from his home runs.
Just from home runs. So
no singles, doubles, triples, walks.
Yes. So it's all of the above. You get rid of everything except Barry's 762 homers. And he drove in about the same amount of runs, one less than Craig Biggio did from all of his hits through his whole career.
Who's a Hall of Famer? Yeah.
Who's a Hall of Famer? Right. Was he a first ballot Hall of Famer too? I can't remember, but
I feel like he's in.
I know he's in Cooperstown.
I feel like he might have been a Hall of Famer. That's again mind-boggling, but that's a fun one. That's one. We've done some of these where the numbers are like they're all over the place, and we know it's amazing, but like this one connects like really well. Like you just think about that. You watch enough baseball, Craig Biggio, what his career's been, and like mind-boggling. Like, okay, so then you include the RBI single to center the hundreds of times, the 2-run double to dude, man, that's just amazing.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
Nice little player.
Hey, I want to mention something. So two things actually before we get off, because I know we're running up against the clock here. But two things. Number one, yesterday was the first of 55 straight days of football. Did you know that? We have 55 straight days of football because college football starting next week is playing Tuesday and Wednesday. There's random games. Now they're not elite games, but there's random games. Great. And so the next time we will not have football is the day before Thanksgiving. So Wednesday, November 27th, no football. So kind of cool. If you like betting on football, you got 55 straight days of it. You're going to lose a lot of money. And then the last thing is our announcements. We have some sponsorship opportunities for those of you out there. We've had some people reach out. Hey, how can I help join the show? What can I do to help? Maybe a business owner, maybe a business owner, maybe you just like to be involved. Maybe you just want to be involved. We have several different opportunities, and we're not looking to break the bank here. Just kind of some entrepreneurial spirit that we got going on here that maybe you could jump in. Maybe you want to bet. Maybe you want to be the best bets for betting sponsor. Maybe you like Tim's 5-14 record. Anyways, we have several opportunities. I'm going to be posting those today. So make sure you stay tuned to our Twitter account, which is right there. And that'll tell you how to get involved. Then just reach out to me or Tim, and we'll get you going and see what we can do. But those are rolling out today, including our Substack. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to our Substack, and we'll announce a little bit more about that later. But the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth is starting a Substack, and we want you to join us. So it'll be fun. Anyways, that's my final spiel for Friday. Been a fun show. We've got 12 done already, and they haven't fired us yet.
Man, this is an empire that's forming right before our eyes. This is exciting.
It's exciting.
How you feeling?
Yeah. So reach out to Tim or I, and we'll get you on the right track.
Yeah, we'll. There are opportunities with all of the segments we do with the podcast as well. By the way, in case you miss any bit of our show, you can listen to Spotify, Apple, iHeart, YouTube. All of those are available for sponsorship opportunities as well. We are very creative, and we are not greedy. We are not money hungry, but we like to be able to eat food. We like to be able to do the show.
I got to pay for this. I got to pay for this place.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. No, he was able to buy it with all of his primetime winnings, his luxurious fireplace mansion. However, the taxes are a little bit higher than he would have liked. And plus, he needs someone to be able to clean it. He just doesn't have the time to do it. And, it adds up.
Yeah. As you can see, it's pretty empty back there. And I need some, Anyways, but yes, go ahead, contact us, and we'd love to hear from you.
All right. Sounds good. Well, for Rodney Newpel, who still, through 12 episodes, is the NFL primetime expert, this is Tim, the Minister of Defense, Van Stratton, signing off. We'll talk to you again Tuesday nights, live at 9 p.m. Central. Well, we'll recap all of the fun NFL, college, MLB playoff series. I believe by Tuesday night, we might have some postseason elimination games.
Yeah.
We
can even recap the Florida International Liberty game that goes on that night, too.
Yeah, we can. We'll stick around just for that. You know what? That's actually what we're going to spend our entire Tuesday show talking about. So
Florida International at Liberty, baby. 2-3 against Liberty. Liberty's good. Liberty's 4-0.
Liberty. All right. Well, Rodney, you have a good weekend. Enjoy your football. And same to everyone listening. Enjoy your football. We'll be back for another edition of the stupidest sports show on earth. See you, everyone. Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpole and Tim Van Stratton.